The Niagara Falls Comic Con. Hands up, anybody been impaled by a dagger or a stick accidentally inside the convention area? Anybody? No? Oh, yeah. Anyways, thanks for coming out. We got another star-studded celebrity to throw at you right now. You got the Goonies, you got Lord of the Rings, my personal favorite, Rudy, Mr. Sean Astin right here. What's your mic? You gotta get your mic. Yeah, you want to sit? We'll sit. Absolutely. Okay.
Do what to who? What?
Dueling mics.
Just still on. Hi. You know, you're all nice, but there's a person up in the booth there that seems really far away. Hi, everybody. It's Niagara. Spelled really weirdly. What's that extra A? Niagara.
It's a Canadian thing, eh?
It is, eh?
That's how you have to do it, eh?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
You haven't to work with any Canadian actors over the years?
Yeah, sure.
That's it. So like who?
I don't know, there must have been a couple of Leafs in there. So tomorrow, who's going to run in the half marathon with me? Are you guys really going to do it? Are you doing it for real? Yeah. I have mine. Oh, you have a name. Your name is actually. Oh, okay, I'll send that later. But I'm mine just has a number on it. But yeah, so just at the end, just wait around. I'll eventually come by. Yeah, hi.
We're waiting already. We have some microphones kind of right there in the middle there. You see you got one right over there, one over there. If you want to ask Sean some questions, you have to get up, get in line, and so that everybody can hear it.
That's a lot of work.
I know it's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Well, they're seeing you, so they're working hard.
It's totally worth it.
Absolutely. You've been acting since you were 2.5 years old or something like that. My God, how did it all start? 13 years old was your first role in the Goonies, but did you do stuff before that, commercials, that sort of thing?
The first thing that I ever did was a public service announcement for the Coast Guard. Wow. And my job was to stand next to my family, 5 boys, my mom and dad, and I was probably a little over 2. I don't remember how old, I was like 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere very, very young, like diapers age, I think, and had one of those life preservers on, the big orange boxy ones that I can't imagine ever saved anybody's life. Yeah, so I just stood there. Look, I was a prop. I wasn't so much of an actor as I was a prop.
No lines.
No lines. Just they talked about boating safety and being careful this summer and whatnot. Yeah.
And then they threw you into the water and they rescued you. Is that how it worked?
There was no plot. There was no special effects, no stunt work required in that particular service announcement. But it's funny because the movie that I just had come out a couple of weeks ago, in, as they say, limited release in the upper Midwest, was actually filmed entirely on Lake Michigan, one of our sister lakes.
I did, yes.
Yes.
It certainly is. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I was just trying to find some affinity with my crowd here, together, we all know that the lakes are great, but most people don't realize how big they are, like really how big they are. They just on the map, they just look like that. But if you get out in the middle of them, you can't see land in any direction. It's like being in an ocean, and it's got its own tidal currents and whatnot. And at the end of the film, spoiler alert, that phrase is so evocative. Some people just don't. They don't even know what it is that they don't want to know about. But the idea that it would be spoiling something is not okay. The Coast Guard comes in and there's a rescue, and I actually got to dive in the freezing cold Lake Michigan water and swim out to the basket and I got to go up in the cool, I don't even know what the name of that helicopter is. They're these jet helicopters, and get rescued. So it came full circle, you see, from the first film. See what I did there?
See that, yes. So we have the Goonies, we have the Lord of the Rings. Again, my personal favorite was Rudy. I thought that was a spectacular movie. It still is to this day. At one point, though, I thought maybe they should have just left Daniel in a locker and just kind of beat the crap out of him. But really, it was a real awe-inspiring movie, and I think it really, not only from a perseverance standpoint, but it's certainly just the moral of the movie, basically, that anybody can make it with the will and determination. And I think that's.
Do you guys know the movie? Do you guys know Rudy?
You got I was dating myself.
No pity clapping. We're trying to figure out who we've got in the room.
Yeah.
So the one quote that I write a lot of times when I autograph pictures for the poster or whatever is a line that his best friend, the character Pete, who was actually an amalgamation of three people who had an impact on Rudy's life, he says when he gives him his Notre Dame jacket and they're working at the mill, and he says, "My dad says having dreams is what makes life tolerable." And there's something about that Rudy, he was in 30 seconds of one play of one game. So why is it worth making a movie about that guy? And it's because the human spirit is alive in every single person. And to not let other people limit you based on their expectations, often very kind of casual judgments. You know, somebody doesn't have to lay a whole heaping thing on you in order to crush your spirit. They can make it just in a little glance of a head. You know, just, oh yeah, you're gonna do that, oh. You know, and so this guy's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do that to me. I'm not gonna let you tell me that I should be grateful for the gifts God has given me and not try and get what I want. And it's a spectacular thing that he wants, and it requires a lot of, endurance and a lot of pain tolerance and a lot of other kinds of things. But that idea that having a dream, I don't even think, while I was making the movie, I had never thought of life in those terms. Like raise your hand if you have a dream that's specific in your mind. Raise your hand if this is the first, okay, so none of you people, well, maybe you just thought of it. Raise your hand if it's the first time you ever thought of it in those terms, just now. Yeah? A couple people? Yeah, I never really thought of it. Somebody asked me, I run marathons, and somebody, the LA Marathon challenged me to run for something. And I was like, how old was I, 30-something years old, and I was like, whoa, I never really thought about it, like, I should choose to run for something. So that it was like that with Rudy. I should have a dream. I started thinking, like, I've been basically living a dream with my life. My wife and, my whole career, my family, and my life is a dream. But I never really thought to kind of I had ambitions. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be like a CEO of a billion-dollar company. I guess those were dreams, but to me they were like signposts, like things, I have to go get that. And I guess that's, maybe I just didn't use the word dream, but that idea like, it's a dream of mine to run in Antarctica. There's so many dreams. I kind of want to hear what all of their dreams are.
Well, every dream is valid. I think that's the best part I got out of the movie. Regardless of how big or small or what other people think of that dream, it's still as valid as anybody else's, and I think that's probably, for me anyways, the moral of the movie. We got some questions for Sean. Goonies, we got Lord of the Rings. Let's go back and forth. We'll go this guy right here first.
Sean, Joe, how are you? My name is Marty. I'm from Buffalo. Actually, my dream is screenwriting, which I've done. My question to you is, as an actor, when you receive the script and you read it, when you think of the character, how you're going to present it, how you're going to portray the character, what you bring to the character, how different is it from the written word to what you bring? Because like for Samwise Gamgee, for Rudy, I'm sure you brought something to those characters that made them not only yours, but something that we can all relate to. How was that process for you, from the script to the screen?
Yeah, it's great way to ask that question. Good luck with your screenwriting career. Make sure you write parts for 5'7" guys. When it came to Rudy, I never really described this correctly, but there's something that happens for me when something big that's good happens. Instead of being shocked by it, somehow I treat it, or it just feels immediately like it was inevitable that great thing happened. Like, yep, that's what was supposed to happen. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, the three movies that I'm the most known for, Goonies and Rudy and Lord of the Rings, when I got that part in Goonies, I felt like, yeah, I was supposed to get that part. And even though, like with Lord of the Rings, I was incredibly grateful and just really emotional about being given the opportunity, I also had this sense that it was meant to be. It was fated to be. It was supposed to happen like that. It might not have happened like that, but as soon as it did, it was like, yes. I feel like the marks, you know, the check marks of the things that are happening in my life are being ticked. So with Rudy, I read that script, and as far as I was concerned, I was reading my story. I was reading a story about Sean, about when I was in Little League, when I played JV baseball for Crossroads High School, and couldn't, you know, make the starting lineup as a second baseman. When I ran cross country and I was the 9th fastest, but you had to be top 7 to run in the, like, I was reading something that was about myself, and even though I didn't really know anything about Notre Dame very much, I just had this feeling that I was reading something important, and you know, sometimes I'd say the dialogue, I'd read a line of the dialogue, and then I'd say it and kind of confirm for myself where I was at with it, and then just keep going. There are other scripts that you read where you sort of go, like, you could have 20 different people. You know, you could have Jerry Seinfeld, or Ving Rhames, or like, you could have Frank Sinatra. Anybody could read this line of dialogue, and it would be totally different because of what they're bringing to it. And sometimes, when I read something, I think, whoa, I have to generate something. I have to find some English that I'm going to put on this to make it interesting or fun or compelling or real for me. With the big ones that I was cast in, it was really like the essence of me. And so I had the same approach to doing them that I did when I met my wife. When I met her, she was so beautiful and, you know, older than me, and I just thought, there's just no way I'm going to get this girl. And I thought, just be as real as you can possibly be. Just when all else fails, just be honest. And that's really the guidance that my father gave me too as an actor, his coaching of me. It's like, don't pretend anything. Just have it be true. So I think when it comes to, you know, as a screenwriter, it's thrilling and terrifying to see people bring your work to life. Because you can think, my gosh, I never would have thought of that actor for that part. So a director or a casting director can affect what you do in a way that you can't anticipate right now. And then people come in and wreck it. So, you know, it's a little bit of a terrifying thing, but as long as you're telling a story that you really want to tell and you're enjoying developing characters because you believe in them and the truth of that character, then you don't have to worry about what an actor's going to do with it or not do with it. It'll take care of itself.
Thanks, sir. Right over here.
Going back to Rudy, arguably one of the greatest sports movies of all time, and one of my personal favorites.
Go on, you argue it then.
Was it intimidating on working on a film that could be so inspirational and just such a goal for people? I mean, facing adversity and not giving up and showing everything that people want to do. That this is how you fight for something you want. Was it difficult at any time?
Well, the University of Notre Dame had only allowed one other film to be done on their campus officially. The New Rockdale American with Ronald Reagan playing the Gipper, George Gipp. And so we were very aware of the fact that this was a major university with a very special reputation, with a storied, legendary football program that's on Saturday mornings every all fall football season long. So you kind of had a sense of responsibility to you were aware of the fact that there was some lore operating, and we were trying to, interface with it. And when it came to the football, you wanted to get it right. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do the football stuff, and that they let me do some of it, but they didn't let me do all of it. I did enough of it to feel credible and good about it, and I'm also glad that it was the stunt guy who got the arthroscopic surgery on his knee after doing the mud bowl, sequence. What they call the mud bowl sequence, just that slow motion sequence when they're all tackling and stuff, where he just keeps getting hit. But I had a definite sense of mission and purpose with what I was doing. I treated it very seriously. It was not a game. When I woke up and I went to work, I had my game face on. I would read the script, I would study it, I would know my lines, I would, when I met the other actors who would come in, it was fun, but it wasn't about fun, it was about getting it right. And I knew that, in part because I'm trying to establish myself a career, and this is the title character of a studio film, so, if it goes very badly, you might not get another chance to do that. So from a career perspective, I wanted to get it right. But when it comes to being inspirational, that's been my whole life. Is trying to, I don't do anything small. When I do something, I do it with everything that's in me to try and do it, try and get it right, do the best I can. And my whole life, people come up to me and they're like, it's so amazing that you did this, and it's so amazing that you did that. And so when I hear those compliments, I kind of go, right, keep going. And the next time something happens and I'm ready to go full throttle into it, I, on some cellular level, remember that, this is something that is approved of in the universe. So, and you have to say that Rudy, Dan Rudiger, and his dream for himself, his understanding of this message that you were describing is very clear for him. And he took some real poundings. He was actually in the Bengal bouts. He was a fighter. That's how he got to be known within Notre Dame. It was in the original script, but there was I'm not sure I would have been an incredible fighter, but it just wasn't. It just didn't end up in the movie. But and then David Anspaugh and Angela Pizzo, the director and the writer, who are so gifted. They did Hoosiers, and their sensitivity. The greatest thing maybe is Jerry Goldsmith's score. The music for Rudy is as good as any music in any movie ever. And you tell me, if you pick the top 5 best movies, I think you can put the Rudy music up against it, and it's just as emotional. Away from the story, away from the movie, just the score is incredible. If you watch the movie on mute, it's like watching Chariots of Fire on mute. It's like a bunch of poncy guys dancing in the water. They're just running. What are they doing? But the music kind of really brings it to life. So, and then the last thing I would say about that is that, inspiration, people have to be ready to feel that. I've had so many big hulking football guys, come up to me and say, "Yo, man, I cried in that movie." And the truth is that thing inside that's touchable, that's willing to be touched and moved, exists. And so it's really a dance between people who know that and understand that and people who are willing to have it happen. And a lot of times movies, they don't honor it properly, and so people shut down. But when it can happen just right, and that beautiful moment happens when you go into the movie, and you feel it, and you're like, that's me, there's so much heart in that. Then, it's pretty great.
Yes, sir. Right over there, hello. Okay, tippy toes.
I was wondering if you could describe running a marathon in 3 special steps.
Running a marathon in 3 special steps. Special agent Oh-So says, step 1, find some shoes. Step 2, find the finish line. Step 3, get to the end without throwing up. Of course, if he does throw up, then he would say, it's all part of the plan.
Hi, I asked this at your table yesterday. the movie Do You Believe, you did a fantastic job as the doctor. Do you see yourself doing any more Christian movies in the future? And actually, is Christianity part of your background?
Great question. So, Do You Believe was released this year. Richard, does anybody know about that movie? Does anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It's a tiny little handful of people. Okay. So there is a very thriving, emerging genre in film and television. It's the Christian, what is known within it's the Christian film space. And films are being done now that are have better production value and are finding massive audiences. God's Not Dead did really well. Kevin Sorbo did that one. Fireproof, the Kirk Cameron movie, did incredibly well. So I've been approached several times to act in Christian films, and I've been unafraid to enjoy those experiences. First one was called Amazing Love, the story of Hosea, and I play a young Christian youth minister who goes with his wife with his kids, takes them on a retreat, and basically the movie is them telling the story of that scripture, and then the movie plays out in the religious text plays out sort of in flashback. So I had a great time doing that one. This one I think was the third one. Oh yeah, it was the third one, Mom's Night Out I did, which people, do you guys know Mom's Night Out? That one, yeah? Oh, there you go. So, I know that. Mom's Night Out was made by Christian filmmakers, the Irwin brothers, and there was a very subtle Christian message underneath it, but it kind of played itself out like a traditional romantic comedy. The one that I have coming out in the fall is called Woodlawn, and it is pure evangelism. It is a no-holds-barred attempt on the part of the filmmakers to promote Christian worldview. And it tells the true story of Tony Nathan, the NFL great football player, when he was in high school, 1973 in Birmingham, Alabama, when the race problems were really bad, and they were trying to integrate the schools, and that wasn't going very well. And this chaplain, I get to play the chaplain, who's actually the father of the filmmakers. They were like making the story for their dad, and I play him, and he comes in and interacts with these football players and gets them all basically to convert, like kind of in a moment, and they go through their whole football season with unity. And it's right at the beginning of what they call the throes of the Jesus freak movement, which is when like Billy Graham and people were starting to fill stadiums, the Cotton Bowl, with believers who would come in and have those huge celebrations and stuff. So this is their work. In all four of those cases, I'm a professional actor who is coming in and doing my job to communicate the ideas of the story to the best of my ability, because that's my job as an actor. And I'd be happy to do that for a Jewish film, or a Muslim film, or an atheist film, or anybody who's, as long as I feel like there's integrity underpinning the story, I'm and there's a character apart, like the writer we were talking about. If I can do it, if I feel like I can do it, and bring value to it, then I'll do it. I was great, so that's that, and I'm happy to do more Christian films. And it seems like the Christian film community is enjoying my work, and it seems like I'll be continuing to, I'll get more offers, and I'm happy to do them. My religious background is kind of, I don't know, it's a story. It's a longer story than here. We're going to talk about here, but basically I was raised by my mom, who was sort of a lapsed Catholic, and my dad, who was he was agnostic for a long time, and then he said he was an atheist, and then he became a Buddhist. And so today I think he would tell you that he's an atheist Buddhist. And when I wanted to become a Catholic, so I went to Catholic middle school for 3 years, and I wanted to get baptized, and I wanted to become a Catholic. My dad said no, not until I was an adult. And then by the time I became an adult, I just didn't do that until I don't know, probably like 2005 or 6, my wife, Christine, who was Lutheran, she became a Lutheran when she was a teenager. She had our 3 daughters baptized in the church she was baptized in, St. John's in LaPorte. So there was a moment where it felt like the right idea for us all to be a part of the same church. Even though we don't live in Indiana, we don't really attend that church very much, there seemed to be a nice symmetry to us all having on this. So I got baptized into the Lutheran church when I was, I don't know, whatever, 2005, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can never remember, my dates are terrible. So I studied the English Bible as literature at UCLA. Professor Batten, I'll never forget it. We walked in and he said, if you believe that the Bible is the Word of God, get out. Because this is not your class. We're just going to analyze the book. We're going to go through it and study what made it, he gave us the Apocrypha, what got cut out and everything else. So I just have a really unique vantage point where my faith and I believe in God. I consider myself a Christian, but not in an aggressive. I don't feel like it's my job to go out and proselytize, or even though now my work as an actor is being sort of used in that way, which I'm comfortable with. So I could go on, but I think that gives you a basic sense of what we were talking about. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, over to this side. Hi.
Hi. You talked a bit about dreams, and I know that you've done some work behind the camera, so I'm curious, if you got the opportunity to direct the next big superhero movie, which superhero would you pick and why?
Ooh. I think I would pick the Janis Joplin superhero story and cast you, because when you were talking to that microphone right there, you were totally Janis Joplin.
My mother would love that. She's a huge Janis Joplin.
And she? What superhero? I don't know. I really don't know. There's so many franchises now. They just are coming faster and furious, or just all these that I never knew about. I never knew I should know about. But now I come to these comic book conventions and you're Poison Ivy, and there's like so many different things. I don't know. I wanted to direct Fantastic Four, and I did not get the opportunity to do that. But I really studied that comic. Went and read all of them that I could, and I felt like I was sort of inside of that. I don't know. I mean, to me, what I loved then was that it felt like a chance to express myself as an American. I've been in New Zealand for years, and when I never knew what it meant to be an American until I was away for so long. And like when Bush v. Gore happened, and like my New Zealand friends were saying, so you guys are the great democracy in the world, you don't know how to do an election? Wow. So, but when I got back, I really I was feeling, I guess, patriotic, or maybe not jingoistic, but just I was feeling, the Canadian national anthem is my second favorite national anthem on my own.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Can you sing it?
Oh, Canada, my home and native land, true patriot love, and all my sons. Come on, that's the only part I don't get. But no, I love it. It makes me cry every time I hear it. I love that. I love it. And so I was just thinking that because, to me, the comic book was an extension of that feeling. So now, I don't know where I'm at in my life. I don't know what story or what character would feel like a great way to express myself. I'm a father now. My daughter is going to go to college. She's like 18 and she just graduated high school. And is there a superhero that like maybe the what are they, the Untouchables, or what are they called, the Expendables? Like maybe I'm that guy. I would do that guy. No, I don't know. I really don't know what I would do. I want to try something that you haven't seen before. Because so much of it, even though it's great, you've seen it, and now like with digital technology, what it is, you want to see if you can push the envelope on that a little bit more. I don't know. It's a great question. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer.
That's okay, thanks.
Thank you. Green hat.
Hi there. I thought I'll ask for New Zealand, you spent a long time over there. Do you have a favorite experience, and do you have a favorite place?
Well, our favorite place was Queenstown.
Yeah.
Loved Queenstown. Love Queenstown. Just so spectacularly beautiful, and I think the stuff I was getting to do, Samwise, there's a lot of time that Sam wasn't doing stuff. So it was that, I'm like a guy who likes to do stuff all the time, and, chatterbox, and so when I had to be quiet and sit still and not do stuff, I was not a happy camper. But somehow when we were in Queenstown, we were getting to do things. I rode motorcycles with Orlando, I went parachuting with my wife, I bungee jumped, and, and we were in the helicopters all the time. Like, that was just awesome. It was really, and the beauty, just the pure physical beauty of the mountains and the fjordlands and stuff, that was just awesome. So that, and then favorite specific memory, I don't know. I mean, it has to be something around my wife and daughter. It has to be something that we did together. About 400 memories are really flashing through my mind right now. I'm like, which one do I pick? We took a DC-3 plane, an old plane, World War II era plane, from Wellington to Queenstown, or maybe it was from Christchurch to Queenstown.
That's a short flight.
Yeah. Anyhow, whatever it was to Queenstown, and we went into a storm, and it was the most violent turbulence any of us have ever been in. It was the whole cast and a lot of the makeup people. It was the Lord of the Rings bus, and we were flying. And my daughter had Penny, her little mouse, and just scrambling her little mouse brains in the thing and people were drinking and wine was going all over the top of the thing. And the pilots, you keep looking at the pilots to see if they look worried, and they were they were white knuckled on those kids. We ended up turning around. Well, actually, we were going far. We were going to Tiana, and we didn't get that far. We turned around, and it was everyone kissed the ground when we got off the plane. And it was great because it was violent, near-death experience where everyone was laughing and singing. It was
Whose idea was to get the tattoos? Was that everyone sitting around one day kind of going, well, you know what, we have to have something to kind of commemorate our time together, or was it sitting around in a bar and you had a couple of too many beers?
19-year-old Elijah Wood.
Okay, we're playing that. All right.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, it may have kind of happened concurrently, but Orlando was one of the boosters for it early on, and then it was Vigo who actually sorted it out with the tattoo tattoo artist, and he opened up his shop early on a Sunday morning when nobody else was there, and we all came in. And it was pretty great. It was shore leave in Okinawa in 1942. It was pretty awesome.
Kind of hurt at the ankle.
It hurts so bad.
Were you crying?
My daughter was there. She was 3 at the time, or 4, I don't know what that went through. And she went under the table, and she reached her hand up. She's like, "Dad, just hold my hand." And I was squeezing her hand. I didn't tell the guy to stop. He did it, but it was among the more painful things that I've ever heard. I mean, it was really, really painful.
Thank you.
And I say that in a group of people who have their eyelids and the inside of their nose is tattooed, and they're like,
what a baby that Sean is.
But
Yes, sir.
I'm a hardcore Ninja Turtles fan, and when I found out Samwise was voicing Raphael, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Well, it's one of the coolest things ever. Raphael's been voiced by many different actors over a course of several different cartoons and movies, including your co-star Paul Robson. Or Rob Paulson, sorry.
Paul Robson, that's cool too. That's his alter ego.
Awesome.
That's his transgender alter ego.
Okay, so did you've put your own spin on the character, but did you take any inspiration from the previous works, and has Paulson ever pulled you aside and told you, this is how you should do it, this is how you should do Raphael?
So, for those of you who don't know, Rob did the voice for 8 years in the 1980s animated cartoon series. And he has a podcast. Do you know his podcast, Talking Tunes? It's right at the top of the charts of podcasts. It's a fantastic podcast. He gets every great voice actor and animators and directors. He just puts on a great podcast. And he had me on it a couple of times. And once was with Nolan North, who is one of the other Raphs. And he showed, we were at the Improv. He actually was doing the podcast out of the Improv Comedy Club, and they have that brick wall, the famous brick wall that all the comedians, show up at, and they played a clip of each of the raps, and I was like, man, mine sucks. Nolan's is so good, and Rob's is so sweet and fun, and so Rob always makes an effort to tell me what a great job he thinks I'm doing as Ralph. And every time he says it, it feels like it comes at just the right moment. Like, I'm incredibly grateful that he says that. It was quite strange to get the part and to sit down, at the microphone, on the glass, to the side of the glass, and the engineers, and the director, and the producers, and the creators, and stuff. And then it was Jason Biggs, and it's me, and Sipes, and Rob, and it's like, I don't even think I knew, before showing up at work that day, somebody might have mentioned it, or I overheard it in a thing, oh my gosh, I'm playing his part. And it's okay because he's playing his friend's part now. So, there is kind of honor among thieves. We're professionals, you do your job. But I definitely, every now and then you do something you just think, oh man, that is so bad. That is so bad what I just did. And then you do it again, and they'll let you say, hey, can I try it this way? Sure, you do it this way. But when you do something great, and there's been a couple of times, there's a couple of episodes that are heavy episodes that are just like, you're reading the page and you're so excited that you get to do it. And I'll do something and Rob will go, attaboy! And you look over and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And the show itself is great, right? I mean, I get to play a small part in it, but the animators, the storylines, all the guest cast, it's like, and Greg Sipes as Michelangelo is off the chain, funny and great. And Rob is, a legend. He's a legend. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Brother.
Hello. I'm good. Hi, my name's Brendan. To answer your dream question, my first dream is to be a husband and a father one day, so I'd like to do that. But on a career path, I want to be an actor, so good luck. But my question is, what's the capital of Delaware?
Capital of
Delaware. No, it's not.
Don't tell me. We just did this at dinner. Hold on.
I was joking.
Wilmington.
I have no idea.
Capital of Delaware.
I couldn't resist asking.
Here's your thing.
I have a real question.
Hold on.
All right.
It's cool. Wilmington is not the capital. I'll come up with it in a second. Dover. All right, Dover. See, I told you.
Now I know that too. That's great.
No, when you can say about your acting career, when you can speak about your acting career with the same level of profundity that you did about being a father, that's when your career will take off.
All right. Well, thank you.
And go ahead.
No, that's excellent advice. Thank you very much. But my question was, obviously, Lord of the Rings was a huge ordeal to take on. Like, it was such a huge commitment to make. It was years of your life. From the special features from you watching, I could tell that your character and you in real life sort of mirrored each other in that, well, not mirrored, they're similar, how you describe yourself as Mr. Involved, and how you really have a sense of involvement and dedication. And my question is, during the production, you seemed to really hold everyone else up. Like, you were really supportive. And who was there for you, would you say, during the production of the movies that you really felt, or what was there, what did you use to really motivate yourself during the dark days, the dark times, the times that weren't so great?
I don't know how helpful I was to others.
You seemed very helpful in what I watched.
Well, Sam is helpful. Like, even though there was all these people around that you knew and you loved, and it was fantastic, it still felt lonely a lot of time. Having to be patient, like I said before, like, it's really hard for me to be patient. I think that, for whatever reason, it was really, really psychologically hard for me to get through the whole experience, even though it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. It was the greatest professional and personal opportunity you could possibly imagine. But if it wasn't for my wife, I really don't know what would have become of me. Elijah and the boys, you know, and Don and Billy were we were the foursome. And I couldn't keep up with them. I mean, they all could drink so much. And they just had, their personalities are, you know, galactic. And I'm usually the biggest person in the room when I'm walking into rooms, and I wasn't in this case. And so I definitely leaned on them. Peter, watching his stable, measured, constant, disciplined behavior, even though it was a ridiculous thing that was being attempted, that kept you kind of going in the right direction. And also a sense of, and this is something that everybody contributed to, but there was a sense of real importance to what we were doing. You don't get that on every movie you do. But every person who worked on a movie was doing something they knew was maybe the most important work of their life. And so when you look around and you feel that way, that gets you through. And the crew, you know, the crew they worked so hard. I really think they're unsung heroes. They really did such incredible heavy lifting every single day. Hundreds of people, and they weren't getting paid a lot, and the hours they were working were way more hours than anybody should be allowed to work. They would have done more. So they, you couldn't see that level of commitment and output. I mean, you'd have to be really depressed not to be bolstered by their commitment. So, yeah, like that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Good luck on the fatherhood thing and the husband.
Thank you. And I'll keep positive about the acting thing.
Try to squeeze in as many as we can. Yes, sir.
Okay. Most of your viewers, I think, see you as incredibly dedicated, inspirational, and truly genuine on the screen. I don't know if you've ever really played a villain in a movie, but how do you do that?
How do you play a villain?
Yeah, and make it genuine, like your positive roles.
You just gotta. My dad used to always tell me when I was a kid and something would happen, he'd say, "Well, Shawnee, try to put yourself in the other guy's shoes." Well, if you do that with a murderer, you're ready to play a bad guy. You know what? It's actually, it's fun. It's fun to be able to play. I played one guy who was just a sadistic, cannibalistic murderer. Just a horrible, unrepentant baddie named Randall in a movie called Borderland. And it's something like, well, I love looking at it. Like, it is not for children, and it's really hard to see if there's anything morally redeemable about it. I guess ultimately the bad guys, lose and the good guys win. So you get the kind of get out of jail free card. But the movie's saying you shouldn't be a cannibal, I guess. Goes badly for cannibals. But I really enjoyed the idea, and it was hard for me because it went against my nature. But this is what I think happens a lot of time in these conventions when people come and they're wearing, these beautiful girls who wear the Joker cut thing on their face, and you're like, this gorgeous girls looks horrible here, but there's something about leaning into that and knowing that it's safe. It's a movie. It's just a movie. It's dangerous when you realize that movies can affect people, and if you do something that's you don't want to provoke people to do the wrong thing, and you got to be mindful of that. But frankly, at the end of it, I was exhausted from that little moral wrestling match with myself, and I got a machete to the head. So I was. I guess all you can hope for as an actor is a good death. If you can have a good death, and I've had a few. Some guy came up to me yesterday, literally. Was he an airplane? He was one of the TSA guys said to me, he almost started crying after handing me my shoes, that the death that my character had in 24 meant so much to him, that he cried when he saw me die in 24. I've talked to hundreds of people who saw me die at 24, and mostly it's like, oh man, they killed you off at 24. Oh man, that wasn't right. Or you know, you were a jerk. I didn't mind too much when you got. Nobody who'd been like emotionally affected by my character's death at 24. But I started thinking like, yeah, it was sad to lose me on that one, wasn't it? Anyhow, I'll think more about that and write a book.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to ask you what the effect that your father, John Astin, your mother, Patty Duke, and your brother, Mackenzie, had on you.
Well, that's my favorite question. Everything. My father is, I just had dinner with him a few nights ago in Baltimore. Annapolis is the capital of Maryland. Sorry.
Now you're showing up.
He's 85, going strong, teaching his classes at Johns Hopkins. My dad is a very serious person for such a silly guy. He is so goofy. He's a hippie, but he's also a classically trained Shakespearean actor. And there's something about like the totality of my dad, who's so fun and sweet and lovable, but also earnest and really cares about his work. I mean, all of those things. He raised me. I was raised by a lot of people, but it's his philosophy and his ideas that really make me who I am, more than anything. My mother's my mother. She basically handed me a career on a silver platter when I was 8 years old. When she told the people who were casting an after-school special that she would only do it, they wanted, you know, Oscar-winning, multi-Emmy-winning actress in their Disney after-school or ABC after-school, you know, special about child abuse. And she said, okay, but only if you know, have my son in it. So, and then he asked to audition, so I auditioned, and that she prepared me for the audition. I got the part, you know, my mom's not a talker. My dad's a talker. My mom's a doer. And you just, you know, you stand right there where that mark is. You stand there, right? And you start to talk, no, you look over there. And I just, like, she literally physically told me to do certain things that I do every time I make a movie, and I'm 44 now. From 8 years old to 44, they're the same things, the same values that she sort of exampled for me. So yeah, and my little brother, I love my little brother. He's working his heart out now. He's doing lots of great stuff. He's on Scandal a lot. I know he's played Iron Will. I think he might be in Minneapolis. Actually, he's in Texas. We're family. We're like the Barrymores, only not. You know, my little brother's incredible. I love him. And we were very competitive when we were younger. We would tease each other. I would tease him about being on a TV show, and he would tease me back about how much money he was making on that TV show. And, so we had a good time with that. And now we just, you know, he's an uncle to my 3 daughters. He's married. Jennifer, my sister, sister-in-law, yeah, it's weird. We're all getting like older and stuff. It's weird. It sucks.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have time for one more. Speed round, and then 10-second answer. Go.
Okay. So I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I was just wondering, out of all 3 movies, what was your favorite part? Like, what was your favorite part to film?
Kissing Rosie Cotton. Carrying Frodo up the mountain, the volcano. I could go on. I mean, in the first film, it was the fight with the cave troll because the fellowship was working. In the second film, it was the speech in the Osgiliath ruins where he talks about there's good left in the world and it's worth fighting for. That was added on after September 11th. And then the third one was, you know, it's like in the great, do you remember the Shire, Mr. Frodo, when he's on the side of the volcano and he's, you know, they'll be sowing the barley soon and be the first of the, you know, they'll be eating the first of the strawberries and cream, like all that stuff. I think, and then Haldir, saying we've come to honor the alliance of elves and men at Helm's Deep. I love that moment. And when Vigo says, my friends, bow to no one, that always makes me cry. Okay. Thank you. Go. All right. Well, you ask, I won't answer so everybody gets their question out, then I'll answer.
Alright. You've mentioned dreams throughout the duration of this question and answer session. What are your dreams going forward? And if you could capture, any dream in action that you've seen, much like in the movie Rudy, what dream would you like to direct, or would you like people to know more about?
Great question. Then keep with the last couple asked. 30th anniversary of Goonies tomorrow. When are we going to see Goonies 2? Imminently. Happy anniversary, Goonies. We're 30 tomorrow. Oh my God. I know there are a lot of people in Astoria, Oregon, and they're gathering and they're celebrating, and we're all still alive, which is except for Eddie Ramsey and John Matusak, Sloth and Mama. They aren't with us anymore, but the rest of us are still here, and they swear we're going to have a sequel, so I hold them to their word, and so happy birthday, Goonies. Go on, Linda.
And in keeping with that, would you swear us all in as Goonies, please? You do the full oath.
The full oath. Okay. Yeah. You guys want to be Goonies? All right. All right. So the dream question. Boy, you ask it in such a compelling way. Oh wait. What's your question?
For any inspiring actors that are going or anywhere around the world, what hints or tips would you get for going forward, getting into the business?
Getting into the business.
Because nowadays it's kind of like you have to know someone who knows someone.
It always feels like that, except for the people who do, and they're like, I didn't know anyone. There are no rules. Study. Get good at what you do. Okay? The idea of getting an agent or getting a manager or getting a headshot or that stuff is so secondary to being able to do something, to really knowing yourself, knowing your craft, being good at it. So that requires study and practice wherever you can get it. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I think I have it here. There it is. Okay. The dreams question. So I dream through my children now. My daughter Allie is going to Harvard. She's writing and performing music. And I don't know what to dream for her, but I feel that through her. Lately I do have my thing that I want, but and then the little ones, I really want my littlest one to, I better not say it, there's a sport that I think she has a gift for. And I'm trying to find a way to capture her imagination with it, and it seems like it's almost working. But I dream for her, and it's not fair to put your dreams onto somebody else. So when you're a father, you can create expectations or create stress or pressure. And I definitely don't want to do that. But I just have this fantasy of her sinking into this sport and really enjoying the world in a way through her athletic ability. So I don't know if it'll happen or not, but that's one thing. I have dreams about my wife and me and what will happen when the children are this is the first time I've had a kid go off to college. So now I'm picturing what happens when the second one goes off to college, when the third one goes off to college, and then we're sort of like, wow, it'll be the two of us, and what will we do, and where will we go, and how will we be? No, we don't want to go too fast. It does go so fast. But I'm a long-distance runner. I ran my 10th marathon this year, and then the Boston Marathon. I am now, thank you very much. I was invited and did not qualify, but it was an incredible experience. It was a brutal and incredible experience. Freezing cold, pouring rain. But now I'm training for the Ironman Kona, October 10th. I don't know if you all know about the old Ironmans, but it is. I got up this morning, went to the Y, and put in an hour swimming. I'm going to do the marathon, half marathon tomorrow. It is it's one of these things where I've tried to develop movies, and I'm still developing movies to direct and produce and star in. And, there's lots of ambitions that I have and things, but the physical ones require nobody else's agreement in order to be able to do them. They only require your will and good judgment. Actually, they do require the support of my family. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have their support. But it is an awful lot of hours now for the next 4 months focusing on that. And I don't know how, hopefully it will be captured the way you asked it. Hopefully it will be captured in the doing. So not necessarily, like I thought about doing a documentary and maybe we could figure out how to get that done, but that's its own endeavor. So maybe the doingness of it will be a dream realized. And I've actually talked with one of my colleagues about how to, like that thing I met yesterday, I met Mr. Strange, the runner. You guys know?
Mike Strange?
Mike Strange.
Boxer?
Yeah, the boxer and
long distance runners.
yeah, like he redid Terry Fox's run.
Yeah, he went across Canada.
Yeah. So I met him yesterday. Like, there's something inside the spirit of that man, and of many other men like him that I know, that is a dream beyond dreams, and yet it's real at the same time. And if there was some way to capture their journey or their story, which is also my story. It's not this. I don't run fast, but you know I do commit to long distances and I do get them done, and it is impressive, and people admire it. And if I can find some way to capture what it is that's going on under the hood, like why am I doing that? I don't need to do that to be fit. You can do a lot of things to be fit. Like why am I trying to distinguish myself in that particular way? Who does it benefit? You know, does it really help my family? I don't know. There's a dream in there worth unpacking, and if I could find a way to do it on film, that would really be a kind of triple dream come true.
Right on. Wrap it up. Let's do the old.
Oh, right.
Let's do the old.
Hey, you know. Linda just said ask everyone, and that wasn't fair because, you know, you might not all want to become goodies, but it is the 30th anniversary. So if you would like to become an official goodie, and I have proclaimed, I assert that I have the power. Right?
You have the power, absolutely.
Until Steven strips it away from me. To become a goodie, please rise and repeat after me. Yeah. And by the way, once you're I will never betray my Goondock friends. We will stick together until the whole world ends. Through heaven and hell and nuclear war. Good pals like us will stick like tar. In the city or the country. Or the forest or the boonies. I'm proudly declared a fellow Goonie. Right on. Welcome, Goonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Astin right there. Thank you. Thanks, Sean. So, thank you all guys for coming up. We'll see you around the hall. Thank you.